Today I want to talk to you guys about love, about God's love, because we're told in Scripture that God is love. But before we get into that, I want to share with you a bit about myself so you can just get to know where I've come from. And to start off, to let you know about my background, I grew up in a Christian household. My mom was raised some form of Protestant. I can't really tell you what denomination. My dad was raised Catholic. So church was something I did. I went every Sunday because it's expected of me. It's what you're supposed to do. And as a result, growing up, my faith was just simply my parents. I didn't have my own faith because I just believed what they believed because I'm a kid and it's what you do. And all that changed, though, the summer after my sophomore year in high school, which I'll get to a bit later. Going to second grade, that's when I moved with my family from Southern California up to Monroe. It's about 30 minutes from here for those of you who don't know. And from second to 8th grade, I went to the public school system there, where in elementary school it's all about your friends. It's not really about school, it's about having those friends that you hang out with in class during recess, and you just have a good time. And for me, luckily, I was a really easygoing kid, really easy to get along with, so I made friends really quickly after the move. But going into 7th grade, I realized that these kids that I hung out with, that I considered friends, weren't really friends of mine, because I realized that they didn't actually know me. We never took time to get to know each other. All we did was just hang out and do stupid things together because it was fun and it killed time. And as a result, I started to go through some depression. It was pretty minor at first because I started to realize that these friends that I had who weren't friends, I started to think that they didn't love me and they didn't accept me. And that rolled over into my family life where I didn't think I was loved by my family. And my depression just started to grow because I just felt I was unworthy of that love. And then going into 8th grade, that only got worse because I started to then move towards thoughts of suicide, where I just lay in bed at night and I just wondered what the world would be like without me. I figured that since no one cared, no one would really care if I wasn't around. I wondered if people would if they would notice if I just disappeared, or if they would care, if life would just simply go on for them like it normally had, like I was just never there to begin with. And I really believed that life for them, including my own parents, would just keep going on if I was just out of their lives. And then going into high school, this only got worse for me because I went from a public school system where I knew people to a private Catholic high school, which I spent 4 years at. Terrible place. Because there were students that I hung out with there, but like before, they weren't actually friends. They were just people that I hung out with so that I had people to be around and interact with. But those students there, even the ones I didn't hang out with, the ones I did hang out with, and even the teachers, both in and out of the classroom, would constantly give me a hard time and beat me down just for being a Protestant. And all this time, I still just have all these beliefs that are my parents. None of it's personal to me, and I'm getting beat down for it. And it just further proved to me that I was unlovable. Because here are these church people who are supposed to love people, and they don't even love me. And my sophomore year, when all that changed, my mom had persuaded me to go to the youth group, which was very traumatic the first day. I was crying in the car, did not want to get out because I didn't want to get to know these people because they all went to a different school, so they all knew each other. I didn't know them, but I went. She's my mom, and I didn't really have a choice. So I go, and it's okay, but I'm just skating through the youth group because at that point I had just become numb to life. I shut myself off from others, from just emotions, and I just tried to get through each day, just minimizing the pain as much as possible. And that sophomore year, my mom, again, found out that the youth group was going on this mission trip to Mexico. And she thought it'd be a good idea for me to go because it'd be fun. I'm like, not really, I don't know these people, they don't me, they don't even like me. But okay, I'll go because you're paying for school and I don't really have a say in the matter. And unfortunately, the thing that I realized about mission trips is how close you have to be in proximity to everyone else. There were 50 to 60 people that went with us, and all the bags we had to bring with us were the size of a person. So roughly 100 people-ish with bags, crammed into 2 buses. So we're really close together for the trip from Snohomish down to Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then we had to stay in tents with people. And these were only 2-person tents, and luckily it was just you and one other person. But your bags were with you, so you had 4 people in a 2-person tent. And I was just miserable, because I'm like, I'm just a burden on these people who have to put up with me. But I realized that wasn't the case, because due to the environment, I ended up getting to know a few of the guys from my youth group. 4 of them were actually in my small group, just because it's unavoidable to end up getting to know people when you're that close to them for so long. And so I got to know these guys, started to hang out with them, and I realized that they weren't hanging out with me or each other or anyone else in the youth group just because it was something fun to do and they wanted to kill time. They actually did it because they actually loved these people and cared about them. And I started to realize that they actually loved me for who I was, and they thought that I had something, that I was worthy and that I was valuable to them. And I began to see through them God's love for me, just in little snippets when I'd hang out with them. And that really began to change my faith and made me begin to want to live a life like what they had, where I could just be joyful in whatever circumstance and be able to just live my life showing that love to other people. And it's because of them that I'm here now doing this, and I didn't go any farther in that depression, those thoughts of suicide. So going from that, I want to talk a bit about God's love with what few minutes we have left. And to do that, I want to turn with you to 1 John chapter 3, verses 16 to 24, which read, "This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need, but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. This then is how we know that we belong to the truth, and how we set our hearts at rest in his presence, whenever our hearts condemn us," or if you don't like that word, whenever you just feel guilty about something. "For God is greater than our hearts, and he knows everything. Dear friends, if our hearts do not condemn us, we have confidence before God and receive from him anything we ask, because we obey his commands and do what pleases him. And this is his command, to believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and to love one another as he commanded us. Those who obey his commands live in him, and he in them. And this is how we know that he lives in us. We know it by the Spirit he gave us." So since I don't have much time left with you guys, I just want to highlight 2 verses that stood out to me. And the first is verse 16, which shows that we know what love is based on the person of Jesus, based on his death for us. And it's not only through his death, but also the fact that he came down and lived a human life so that he knows what we've gone through. He's gone through all the pain and joy that comes with being a human on this broken, messed up world, so that in the end we can't say that we've gone through something that he knows nothing about, because he's experienced it all. And he even went so far as to feel the pain and embarrassment and shame that comes with dying on a cross, so that we don't have to experience that ourselves. And that's as a result of God's love, which you can see in John 3:16, where we're told that it's because of God's love that he sent Jesus. It's because he loved us so much that he couldn't stand being apart from us, that he sent his Son to die in our place to bring us back to him so we can live in that love with him. And the second verse that I'd like to highlight is a command we're given in verse 23. It's the only command here. And this really shows that it's all about love, because we're only commanded to do 2 things, and that's to believe in Jesus, believe in who he is and what he's done for us and why he did it. And then as a result of that, to love people, and not only to love them, but to show them God's love as we've received it. Because God is a God of love, and that's all we have to do is just accept his love through what Jesus did and do nothing else but show other people that he loves them with our actions. So as we end, I just want to say that if you're dealing with depression like I had, or if you're feeling just unloved, or you're just trying to skate through life because you can't find any meaning of it in it, I just want to encourage you that there is a God out there who loves you, and there are people out there that he's placed in your lives who do love you, even if you can't see it or you've shut yourself